Alright, welcome to episode 102 of What If Civilization Started Over. In the last episode, we saw some conflicts emerge somewhere. The Indo-Chinese country invaded Guangxi, who did drop a nuclear bomb, which is kind of controversial, but not too bad. It looks like the Mint country still exists, because they also got ganged up on. Why? Oh, no, it's a lake, never mind. But the Mint country is ganged up on here in Central Asia, and they don't exist anymore. So we have some very different looking Central Asian countries, and Tibet even expanded. We saw a collapse of a country over here in Russia, like one of the newly formed ones, the purple one, and there was probably something else that happened, but I don't remember what it was. Could be anything, man. Maybe something in Europe. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, in today's episode, we're going to see more events happen because that's what happens every episode. And first off, we need to head over here to Western Europe because the Alsace country is going to be ceasing to exist as they join the Franco Union. So this country previously was, where's my ideology layer? I moved a lot of the layers around. They were a Francoist country beforehand. However, okay, I just made a new one. This regions one. It's weird. It looks really cool though. I'll turn that for a sec. So you can see all the different regions. The other capital cities on it are like autonomous area capitals. So this is the African religion bit in the south here. This country is entirely Spanish. Now here's a Spanish area because this country is mostly Pyrenees. And then there's a Balearic Islands bit. Italy is like a huge mess. That's the salmon country in Alsace region. But there's a French bit. A lot of this is Italian. There's sort of Western Croat here, then Eastern Croat down here. Istria is somewhere in the middle because it's the old Croat capital, but it's very Italianized. There's Austria. You can see the Swiss country. There's Southern German lands. We can see the capital of the old Italian country and the capital of the sort of Greek region. Then this peninsula and all these islands are fairly Carthaginianized, so that's cool. And then there's this Greek bit down here in the south as well, so that's interesting. There's a Hungarian country which has, I believe this is a Croat region, this is a Polish region, and that's, I should probably just go into the layer and then you can kind of see it a bit better. But like Croat region, Polish region, I think the rest of it's not their country though. Down here in Greece, they're fairly the same. Here's the old capital of the very first Greek country, which is its own thing for some reason. There's Rhodes, because that's full of Turkish people and it's Turkish faith, not Greek. Uboya is its own thing because of religious stuff, and there's a Hungarian area and a Turkish area. Much the same. Romania is a huge mess. Just don't even worry. It's so complicated in Romania. But anyway, that was quite a lot of fun to make. But what was I doing? Ideology. Whatever the hell that is. Ideologically, this country was a Francoist nation, and that's probably why they joined them. However, we are going to see the spread of more Francoist ideology as the Germans, the Catalonians, the Spanish, and the Norwegians all flip over to this ideology. So, I don't know how to do your one, Norway. I don't know. Well, we'll just leave it like that. So, those are the Francoist countries which are emerging here in Europe. But there's going to be more elsewhere as we can head over to Asia, and unsurprisingly, we see Korea, and also, very surprisingly, the Indo-Chinese country moved to Francoism, and then also New South Wales. They flipped to Francoism, weirdly enough. I mean, they're really not linked with the rest of the Western European countries all that much. However, they have decided to flip over to that. Also, one more country that I forgot about because they're irrelevant and stupid, but it is the nation of West Papua, which is an ally of the Indo-Chinese and the Koreans. So, yeah, that's kind of cool. So you don't exist anymore, Mr. Far Eastern country. So get off my map. Yeah, I don't know, more Franco countries. America noticeably didn't switch to Francoism, which is kind of like, America, do it, or else I'm gonna get you. But it's alright, they'll be fine. Economic alliances, I think we updated those a bit in the last episode, but we can still update them here because these guys left. The rest of the Western European economic alliance is fine. Here in Africa, it's not really moving at all. Oh yeah, China. I do need to update China. So China made its own economic alliance in the last episode, which kind of caused these guys to form their own military alliance, like Korea and its allies. Because they were like, oh, well, China's getting back together again, so we need to do something about that. So they did do something about that. Anyway, more countries will be joining this now in fear of these guys and their Francoist ideology. So that's kind of scary. We see this country and even the blue. Okay. The blue one down here joins because they're kind of afraid of the Indo-Chinese. this country joins, and then in the center, those three are kind of okay. So yeah, but they will all join the economic alliance. It's not going to protect you or anything, like militarily, but it just means that you've got some more friends, so that's kind of cool. Some countries will be taking it a step further, however, and those countries won't be joining the Chinese military alliance. They'll be joining, or economic alliance. They'll be joining the Indian economic alliance. So you see the this greenish country and this grayish country both switch their currency over to the Indian currency, and they join this economic alliance. And on the military alliance layer, yeah, they're really just going to join all the Indian stuff as they join the Indian Diamond Alliance, or like Central Asian. Well, Ganjati country is the strongest one in it, so yeah, they both join. Okay, what? They both joined that military alliance. Thank you. We finally got there. So they're more protected. I mean, they're also both like the furthest away from the Indo-Chinese and the Koreans, but oh well, at least you're more protected. So that's nice. Anything else that needs to happen? Probably not really. Let's get on to the events in today's episode then, because I haven't really got that far with those, and I like to do events in this episode. What the hell am I saying? Anyway, first off, I don't know where to go. I really don't. Well, first off, we actually need to be staying over here in this region because the Bengali country just called out the Indo-Chinese, which is maybe not a good thing to do. But they were like, well, you guys suck, and I don't like you, and you're awful, and I need to update the currency layer. And they said all these mean things to the Indo-Chinese country, and lots of it was about how the Franglist ideology is just a cover-up, and it's not democratic at all. I mean, the Indo-Chinese country wasn't democratic before, but they're saying that, they joined this thing, and it's like, well, you're also going out and just murdering and invading those countries. So, of course, Indochina is going to meet up with the Bengali country, and they come to a solution that ensures peace. And that's really nice, except it's a lie. And actually what happens is Indochina declares war on the Bengali country, because the Bengali country said they declare war on too many people. And, yeah, they're going to start invading this nation. The Bengali nation hasn't been to war in absolutely ages, so its military, in this very pacifist country, isn't very good. India trying to beat them last time they went to war, and this time it looks to be going about the same. Indo-Chinese forces move out into the central regions and take over quite a few cities here before moving to the Irrawaddy Delta, which is down here, I believe. My throat decided to die now. Separating off two cities there before navally invading and capturing them from the Andaman Islands as they start to barrage the Bengali coast, navally invading here, making a landing that secures a lot of the southern Myanmar coast. They move up through the mountainous or maybe less mountainous regions. The terrain here is very difficult, but the Koreans or the Bengalis managed to do a pretty good job at defending it. Well, not really, but kind of. The war continues for really quite a long time. I'm not really giving it enough emphasis on how long it takes. The Bengal does some pretty good counteroffensives in the center as they make one general long front line, pushing back around both of these cities against the Indo-Chinese, who are definitely good at fighting this terrain, but they're not super happy about it. Because Bengal's got loads of moral reasons behind them for why they should be fighting, and people are actually like going in and be like, I'd like to join the military and all this sort of stuff, which is surprising in this very pacifist country. So the front lines kind of stabilize, something like this, and nothing happens for a really long time. And that's very annoying to the Indo-Chinese because there's a huge drain on their economy, whilst Bengal's like, well, I'm fighting for the right thing, this is all fine, I don't care if my economy's ruined. However, some people in Bengal do care, and what happens is there is a coup which overthrows the government, and they go to sit down with the Indo-Chinese country at a peace table to decide on a peace treaty. And this is what they agree upon. They literally, because this is a new government that is all silly and stupid, they sign a terrible peace deal that enables basically all land the Indo-Chinese country is occupying to be transferred to the Indo-Chinese country, making Bengal an awful lot poorer and the Indo-Chinese country an awful lot richer, but also cooler looking. Look at these really awesome borders. Whoa. But yeah, this country won't stop making strange decisions, as following this, they will join the Indian Economic Alliance, which is the circle one. Previously, they didn't want to join that because they didn't want to switch their currency over to the Southern Indian currency, which is used for, well, it's one of the two currencies in this economic alliance. But the new government doesn't really care. They want the safety and the good stuff for their country, and for it to like not stop existing. So they're gonna bite the bullet and do that. and that's pretty good. This economic alliance has seen a lot of growth in the past few episodes, and it's now potentially the wealthiest economic alliance in the world. It is a really big one. Anyway, that's pretty cool, and we can now move over to Korea, who's going to be expanding as well, but now into a different country, and not one in central, like, China proper, because this time they're going to be invading the nation of Taiwan, as they have conflicting claims over these islands. And they're like, well, clearly in the Peace Treaty of World War III, it says that we get them from China, and it doesn't really, but there is a claim that it did. So they're annoyed at that, and they're going to invade the Taiwanese country, taking over all the islands. Okay. In this stupid, dumb island chain, and landing up here in the north near the capital, surrounding it and closing it off before capturing the entire thing. Taiwan is probably not like super weak, but it's probably not super strong either. So the country falls in not too long, and the Koreans get themselves a nice new destination down here near the coast of China. So it's a really good positioning place. Don't know if it's super valuable though. Of course, Taiwan in real life is pretty valuable. It's like the 21st richest country in the world, and it's not really a country, so that kind of sucks. But here, it's going to cease to exist, and the Koreans now have their own sort of real-life Japanese empire. And then Okinawa is just chilling in absolute fear. But we need to stay in this Asia-Pacific region, because one country has got very angry at what their neighbour in Eastern Australia has done, and of course, they're going to take that anger out on the Northern Australian country. So, Northern Australia, what did you do in your life? Literally nothing. You have a total 1 nuclear bomb left. However, they've lost a lot of the facilities and the people who knew how to man it. The Western Australians are probably going to be able to work it out because they've got really good nuclear facilities in their country. Not good enough to like make any, but they have quite a few nukes. Like the Russians gave them a load, and the Russians told them loads of stuff about operating nukes, so they're fine. So they should just be able to steal that nuclear bomb from the Northern Australians and be good. The Koreans also gained nukes from the Taiwanese country. But yeah, they move up the coast. This country has lost basically everything that made it cool in World War III. And because of that, the Western Australians are just going to move across the desert over here and take these cities before moving up with 2 separate invasion areas towards the northern part of the country. Darwin is somewhere here in this nation, but I don't know where. And yeah, it's basically just going to disappear after not very long. It wasn't a super tricky war for the Western Australians, and that kind of showcases to the Eastern Australians, like, oh, you should be afraid of this guy. Maybe don't fight with him. So that's cool, and Australia now looks really, really awesome. Let's go. Borders is the one thing that I prioritize the most in this series, as it should be. Where do I go next? I don't remember. And, alright, let's do the next event this episode. By the way, this era, isn't going to last for much longer. I think it's probably going to be this episode and the next episode, and then things might all end. I'm not really sure. I feel like I could have made this era longer. This episode already had like 4 wars in it, and usually I do 4 wars every episode. But to be honest, I just want to go on to the next one, because there's not too much that really needs to happen in this one. So I'm just going to not really end it short, because it would have been like an episode longer. But yeah, let's just start an invasion of this country. So the Hejaz nation over here has already invaded the very, very small blue Medina microstate, and now they're going to invade this brown team. Now the Medina microstate was probably bigger on the map than it really would be, like in my mind, but that's not how maps work. So what am I even saying? Anyway, this country is really, really poor, and they're really, really destroyed now because Hejaz has blown up all the cities in this country, and there's only 4. So that kind of sucks. But Hejaz wins the war with ease, and after a few weeks / month or something, they take it entirely over, extending Hejaz right into the desert, as they become quite like a long country. So that's pretty good. And now we can move over here to Central Asia, because one country is going to get absolutely ganged up on again, and this time it's Mongolia. They have no allies anymore, no Russia. Well, there's these Russias. No mid-country even, which is pretty sad. If you're like, oh no, not the mid-country. But all 4 of these neighbor guys are going to invade them. The dark green country got... I don't know, did they get invaded by them? I don't remember. I honestly don't remember. Probably right, maybe not. Anyway, they're going to invade because they want land. So they start to send their troops over here into the western regions of this country. The blue country lost land to them because the Russians like sold it, and they never got that land back. So they're going to also send their troops in. The reason why they're doing so well is because they're all doing this at once. Obviously, the blue country and the green country I think would probably lose to Mongolia, or at least they just go to white peace. The red country was invaded by Mongolia, but they didn't lose anything to them. They're just annoyed regardless, though. So they move in and take the northern major city, and over here by these lakes, taking this territory as they push out towards the capital city, being pretty close to that. So that's nice. And then Baikal also has lost some land to the Mongolian country because they were invaded by them. So they're going to send all their troops over here in the eastern region. They're potentially the strongest country in this war. Like, actually, Mongolia is probably the strongest in the war. But there's a lot of resources in Baikal, and it's got some land where people can live, and it's not like super poor or anything. So they push their troops up here in the north, and then around here, there's a strange operation here in the south where some troops just emerge through Tibet and take over this city. But Baikal manages to take this one, as basically all the Mongolian troops are retreating towards their capital city to defend their home. And really, they're not doing too well. They try to defend against some of these offensives, like all at once, but there's just so many different fronts to worry about and deal with that they just fail with that. The Dark Green country has a pretty advanced military, even though it's not a very strong country. So they do a pretty good job at invading. I guess they're not as strong as they used to be, but before they were quite a strong country. The Blue country is also doing a pretty good job despite being like a really poor country. And the Red country is going to work towards the central capital area, getting very close to it and taking over some more lakes. They finally push in fully across their border, take over this territory, whilst Baikal manages to kind of jam a load of these cities, and then cutting across over to the Red country. They're really secluded from the rest of the Mongolian nation, and they're basically just going to fall apart. Apparently, someone's helping these guys. I don't know who that could be. Tibet? What? The Tibetans maybe give the Baikal country a bit of help invading the south with some potential volunteer troops until finally this nation is about on its last legs. Baikal and the rest of the forces will manage to close in the capital city until finally it will fall over to the control of these other countries. It's not going to be fully partitioned up like the rest, like the Mint country. And that's because it's stronger and bigger and it won't just immediately die like the Mint country would. Alright, so all three of these other countries in the blue team, they regain their old territory. The dark green country regains this territory down here, and Baikal gets back all of this stuff, whilst the dark red country is compensated with some territory in the north they never owned before, but now they do. So Mongolia looks kind of sad. They're only liked by many of their neighbours. However, they do get a government changing their ideology from the dictatorship they had previously over to a democracy, probably quite a right-wing one at that. Where else? Your right-wing democracy. Or like a far right-wing democracy. And there you go. So Mongolia is a changed man. And the world has seen quite a few changes just overall in today's episode, as the map looks different, like in almost every episode, really. So that's quite a lot of fun. Yeah, not too long until World War IV. That's pretty scary. Of course, World War IV might not happen. You never know. Maybe they'll just be all peaceful and happy. But probably not. The world is radicalizing against Frangloism. I don't know if I'm fully expressing that right, but the idea of Frangloism is hated by a lot of people, and the area where we're really seeing this sort of hate of Frangloism is kind of in Europe and also over here in China. So Europe is split now between the Franglo Union and their sort of team. Wait, we should need to update their military alliance, because currently it's just between them, the Romanians, Norway, and America. But they're going to add some new people, of course. So, of course, whatever it's called, Mr. What? The Alsace country no longer exists. How we see the Andalusian country and West Germany both join the Franglo Union's military alliance. Catalonia is a Franglo country, but they don't join, and neither does New South Wales in Australia. But the Italian alliance between them, the Polish, and the Bulgarians is very much geared against this, and they're looking for more allies and partners in defending them. Romania is kind of unhappy with their spot, but they're trying to look for more friends in this region to help defend them. Hungary could be a good one, because Hungary has claims on pretty much all of its neighbours, apart from Poland. But they would love to gain like Western. If you look on the regions map, which is a pretty good one, I think, you can see these bits down here. What? These bits of Italy, they were historically Hungarian. This bit of Greece is Bulgarian. These three provinces, and then also these four provinces, and then also this one, Hungarian, and then these two provinces down here, or regions, were both Hungarian as well. So quite a lot of Hungarian people have been spread all around the world, or in these German countries. So invading Bulgaria would be good. Bulgaria and Poland, you maybe get some other stuff from Poland and Italy. You can take back your Balkan stuff, or you could just go for more of like a potentially safer victory against the Romanians, where you don't have to fight on 3 different fronts. Or you could just invade Greece at the same time. So, I don't know, lots of options for the Hungarians and lots of options for everyone in the world, because that's how options work. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you again in the next episode. Like, subscribe, comment, and have a nice rest of your day. Goodbye.